Hey guys, J Man here. All right, we are back in the Danger Room and we're talking to some amazing fans. Today we're covering Captain America. Captain America, this is a childhood favorite of mine. I watched the TV movies. I loved them as a kid. I loved the comics as a kid. And I got a guest today who's really into Captain America. And we're going to bring him in just a second. Just a couple of quick points. I am going to be back in the Danger Room Sunday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to talk about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We're going to talk about Invincible. I'm sure the Ayer cut's going to come up, all the Suicide Squad stuff, all that kind of goodness, DC stuff. I'll have my round table panel. I'll be inviting guests from the chat to come in to the Danger Room and talk with us. So that's not going to happen today. We're not going to be talking about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier today. We're going to be focusing on Captain America. For this segment, if you want to be a part of it, you just got to let me know in either a video, post a comment on Twitter at Lifetime Nerd. And if you want to be part of this, if you want to talk about Captain America, you can message me if you want to talk about a different character. So this is very open. We're open to all characters here. It could be Supergirl. It could be Swamp Thing. It could be Snake Plissken. It could be Jason Voorhees or Freddy Krueger. It could be any kind of fictional character that's like a genre character. And just let me know. Next week, we're going to be talking about Namor, the Submariner, one of my favorite characters of all time. So that's going to be exciting. But today is going to be Captain America. Okay, let's get right into it. I'm going to be introducing my guest today. His name is Rick Verbanis. And Rick, I'm going to bring you in right now. How's it going, man?
Hey, Jay. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being on. I'm super excited. Just to start off really quick, I just want to acknowledge Raven. Thank you. How's it going, Raven? We've got a few people in chat. So, Rick, before we get right into it, just if you want to let the viewers know a little bit about yourself and why Captain America. How did you come to like Captain America, and why him over like Spider-Man or Hulk or something?
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, well, so yeah, I'm a big Cap fan. I have been for ever since really I can remember. So I grew up reading comics in the 70s, and I kind of liked Cap, but I was actually more of a DC fan back then. I think that was probably because of the cartoons that were available, right? With the Super Friends and the Hall of Justice, and getting to see those. So I think I was more familiar with DC characters. So I remember being a kid and going to the grocery store with my mom, and she would say, "Okay, you stay here," which was at the comic book spinner rack. I'll go grocery shopping, and then when I check out, we'll leave. And so I would stand there for however long, 30, 45 minutes, and just go through all the different comics on the spinner rack. So I knew Captain America, but I didn't really get into him yet. So it wasn't until 1983 that I was at a different store, and I was by myself, and I had gone by and I was looking at some comics, and there on this magazine shelf was the cover to 286, which if you're not familiar with that, that's fine. But that's the famous cover of Deathlock, where he's got looking at through his futuristic laser pistol, and he's got Cap in the scopes. And man, that cover just drew me in. And so I picked it up. I read the issue, and that was in 1983, and I haven't stopped since. I've gotten every Captain America comic every month since that year. So it's been quite a journey.
And have you? Are you still getting every Captain America? Because I know that you have 100 to
current.
Where did it go?
Yes.
To current. So even like literally like last month's issue.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Still do it. And then I started with 286. And then I filled in, the back issues. And, for all comic book fans, we all know both the love-hate relationship of the Hunt, and trying to fill those holes. Now, I will admit, I haven't read every single one of them, and that's because I'm kind of a completist when it comes to that. So, you'd get this back issue here, and this back issue here, and this back issue here, and I didn't want to just read parts of the story. So I wanted to wait till I got all of the story. So, that's one of those things that hopefully I don't have to wait until I retire, but at some point I'll be able to start, and just kind of read. So I did. You're right. Go back to issue 100. Now, some people may ask, why 100? Why not number 1? And for those who aren't familiar, so prior to Captain America being brought back into the comic book world, now he started in 1941, right? So we're celebrating an 80-year anniversary this year, and that was with Captain America comics, and so those were what's referred to as the Golden Age. And so those comics, ran for let's say 15 years, something, give or take, right? So it was the mid 50s, and then Cap went away, and so Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, who was one of the co-creators of Captain America with Joe Simon back in 1941, the two of them decided to bring back Steve Rogers as Captain America. And so that happened in Avengers #4. And so eventually he started appearing in this other series called Tales of Suspense. And at that time, Iron Man was the main character, and it was some rotating stories. And so with issue 58, he made an appearance with Iron Man, and then with 59 and through 99, it was a series that had two stories. It had a Iron Man story and then a Captain America story, and then the covers would flip flop back and forth. And so when they got to 99, they decided, okay, we're going to go ahead and keep this as just Captain America, and became Captain America with issue 100. And then Iron Man went to start a new series with a #1. So that's why when people hear Captain America 100, that's the first issue of the current, from Silver Age on. So then I recently also, in the last year or two, filled in the Tales of Suspense. So I have the 58 through 99. Nice. So I do have all of those as well. I do not own any Golden Age, and maybe someday, but yeah, exactly. It's a little expensive.
Yeah, and just to break everyone's heart, Stan Lee did not create Captain America. Right. I have a minor pet peeve with Captain America where I've seen people bring, like, I've seen people do artists, like an artist will do some sort of compilation or something, and they have Captain America on. It's a Stan Lee, and I'm like, and it's like, well, Stan Lee didn't create Captain America. Right. So yeah, and this is the same sort of thing that happened with Tales to Astonish, where Namor and Hulk continued the numbering, and Namor had the big premiere one issue. Same with Iron Man. Yep. It's great that you got I've got Tales of Suspense. Of course, I forgot the number. I'm bad with names and numbers. Everyone knows this already. I've got the first Hawkeye from First Prince of Hawkeye. Yeah, from Tales of Suspense. And then for Captain America, I'm going to pull this out. I started with this one.
300.
Yeah, and what I did was I did exactly what you did. I went back and I collected these as a kid, and then you miss stuff because spinner rack. Like for me, I would go to a convenience store to buy comic books. Like this idea of going to the comic store, that was like, oh, it's a special occasion. Let's go to the comic shop, and my granddad would have to drive me, and it was like a 25-minute drive or something, and then I'd have like $10, and you could buy like a handful of things. So you had to get it off the spinner rack, which was usually in, like, for me, it was a convenience store, or it's like one of those magazine racks. So it was very difficult and I'm looking through my collection, and I was missing a lot of gaps, so I tried to fill those in. And then what I did was they came out with those. I call them phone books. Actually, Sean, who's in the chat, how's it going, Sean? Sean calls them phone books.
How
Those
about the essentials?
essentials, yeah.
Yeah.
So in the modern time, I bought all the essentials just so I could kind of read through. And I thought, well, let me buy up to 300, and then I could collect from 300 on. But I just gotta go try. I'm trying to go back and get what I can, especially for the first run. I'm trying to think when Captain America, not the Heroes Reborn, but what was the one after that where I don't remember the who started it. It Thor and Cap and Avengers all started again, and the
Yeah.
covers like Captain America Standing Tall. I got the first like 40 of that one. That was a
Yeah. That's
wicked
volume
series.
3. Yeah.
Volume 3. Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And then after that, I don't think I went back. And then I just started, like, almost because I knew I was going to be talking to you. I thought I better learn up some stuff because I'm going to look like a goof. I started reading the very, very current Captain America. I'm up to like issue 7 or something. Oh, and actually, no, wait, there was a series before that that was quite good. It didn't last very long. It only lasted, and I got that one on digital. It only lasted a handful of issues, but I thought that was really good. Where he's going around America and just meeting people.
Oh, yeah.
I don't.
You're talking about the Mark Waid, Chris Samney.
Mark Waid. That's it.
Yeah. 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 So currently the series is volume 9.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I mean, volume 1 went for a very long time. I mean, right? It
Yeah.
started with 100 and it went to 454, I want to say. And then volume 2 was at 13 issues, which was the Rob Liefeld, Jeff Loeb,
Yep.
Heroes Reborn. Volume 3 came out where they brought back Mark Waid and Ron Garney, who finished volume 1 and started there. And that was a really good volume. Yeah, that went for a while. Volume 4 was the Marvel Knights series, which had a lot of rotating creators.
So I don't think I've seen. I don't think I had any of those.
Yeah, I think that's the John Cassidy art, and then volume 5 is the Ed Brubaker run.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so that's the one where a lot of people, Winter Soldier was introduced and so on.
Right. Okay.
And then volume 6, I think that was the Rick Remender, John Remender Jr. story. That was hit or miss depending on who you talk to. And we could talk about all of these, but yeah, I mean, like there's different ones. And then volume 8, yeah, that one was okay. So I mean, here's the thing. I have them all, and do I love every single one of them? No. Sometimes the writing is great. Sometimes it's sometimes the art is great. Sometimes the art is but when you can get that time when there's great art and great story at the same time, man, that's when you just, you just like, this is why they make comics.
Right. Yeah, I know. And there's that period for everybody. Like when I started, this is actually the John Walker stuff, which we're seeing now portrayed in live action, sort of. And that's kind of where I was reading Captain America. I'm like, oh my gosh! And then the TV movies and stuff. For me, whenever I saw something in live action, like I love the Red Brown. Look, the Red Brown movies are cool. Well, we can talk about them eventually, but that was like a thing for me. Like my favorite heroes, and this is very generic. I'm like it's very generic. It's Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Hulk, Captain America, Spider-Man. Anything that was like a cartoon or live action,
Sure.
Regardless of how we look back on it, to the Adam West Show, which I love. I love the Linda Carter series. I love the Nicholas Hammond Spider-Mans. I don't care. I'll fight people over it. Obviously Hulk, the Red Browns. So like, because as a kid, you're just like, wow, that's friggin' Captain America. And first of all, Red Brown is like enormous.
Yeah.
He's like this jacked guy. And he felt so nice as like when he spoke, you just felt like he was like a really nice guy. And that kind of got to me.
he is a nice guy. He's actually part of our Facebook group.
Yeah, so I wanted to mention, so you're not just like, oh, I'm a Cap fan, I read some comics and then I shut it down. You've actually done, you got podcasts going. You're on episode 25, I
Yeah.
think, just came out, right?
Yep.
And I'm gonna put the links for the Facebook group, which you guys should for sure join. And it is comic book. Main focus is comic books, and that is something that I appreciate because not a lot of people are doing comic book related stuff. I know the MCU is great. Look, I love the MCU. I mean, I saw the movies in the theater. I bought them on 4K. We're not going to pretend that I'm not an MCU kind of nerd, but a lot of this stuff that you're seeing that's so great from the MCU is coming from these comics, and they're mining them for like everything.
Right.
And any aspect that you like from a WandaVision, from a Falcon and Winter Soldier, from a like Winter Soldier or like a Civil War, any of it, it's from the comics, and it's always great to go back and read the comics. So the links to your Facebook group are in the description of this video, and once the live stream ends, this will be posted to YouTube, and those links will always be there. And I want you to talk a little bit about the podcast, and I'll put the logo up here while you talk about it because your
Sure.
podcast is killer. So,
Thank you.
oh my God. And I've heard your voice now like all week because I've been just powering through this.
I feel like I need to go. Greetings, Cap fans.
Yeah, I know. So it's like I literally hear your voice. Like I've heard it all week, and I'm like, it's just so it's surreal now. It feels like I'm on things. So I'm gonna put the logo up. So this is this is available. I mean, I'm listening to it right off of the podcast app, which is just on your iPhone, but it's available Anchor through everything. Yeah. So it's on Spotify, right?
Yeah, you name it.
You name it.
Or you can listen to a podcast. It's available. So,
so what made you want to start the podcast?
But it's funny you mentioned about hearing my voice. I guess the best compliment I could have had was somebody on our Facebook page, one of our great members, said, I think I've been listening to the podcast too much because now when I'm reading Cap Comics, I hear Rick's voice. And so I thought that was fun. But
you're the narrator now of all these books.
Yeah, right. So I guess I'll start with the Facebook group. So yeah, I've been a Cap fan for the longest time, and I love the MCU as well. Right, Chris Evans, amazing, knocked it out of the park. Loved all of the Cap movies. In fact, if you were to, you ever get asked that question, it was like, well, if you had to pick 5 movies to describe yourself, to give to a stranger, say, watch these 5 movies, and you'll get to know me as a person. Well, one of them is the first Avenger, and we could get later into what appealed to me about Steve Rogers, but I'm a Steve Rogers fan first, because he is Captain America to me. And so, anyway, but whenever I went on Facebook, everywhere I went, it was all about the MCU. It was all these Chris Evans memes and things like that, and which is great again. But I wanted something to focus on the source material. So when the pandemic hit, and we're all stressed out, and we're all dealing with it in our own ways. My way was to kind of revert to nostalgia. And surround myself with things that brought me serenity, brought me joy, brought me peace. And one of them was talking about and reminiscing about the old comics for Captain America. So I decided to start the Facebook group. We just celebrated a year earlier this month, and we're just about 3,000 members. And so it's really taken off. And when I say, members, of course, Cap fans, of course, but also we do have a lot of Cap artists, pros, so we have guys, artists like Mike Zeck and John Beatty and Joe Rubenstein, Tom Morgan, Mike Perkins. I know I'm forgetting a bunch, but guys that actually worked on the book, and they're on there. And then we have other pros who maybe didn't work on the book, but they're just Cap fans, and they're part of it as well. And then, as I mentioned, Reb Brown, the actor who played Captain America back in 1979 on TV. he's part of it. We have a ton of people. So, um, like any Facebook page, it's only as good as the content on there, right? So I decided to start doing these daily flashbacks, and I decided to start with Captain America 100 and go back from there. And for whatever month we're in, I was going to put the focus of the cover date of that cover for that month for every month up to present. So we do it twice a day for the most part. 6 a.m., 6 p.m. I put these out there, and so we started with obviously in the month of April, and just so happened that Captain America 100 was the cover date for April. So and every day we do another one. So, but the amount of content on the Facebook group is amazing. We just have so many passionate fans that love talking about Cap, sharing memories about Cap, sharing not just comic books, but memorabilia, original art, commissions, toys, action figures, statues, just celebrating the comic version of Captain America. And it's so funny. A lot of members of the group, and myself included, say, "Wow, this group's costing me a lot of money," because there's stuff on here that you're putting on here. I never seen it before in my life, but I've always wanted it. Yeah. And so I end up getting stuff. One thing like behind me, you'll see here, I have a little Mike Zeck corner. Mike Zeck's my favorite Cap.
Cool. Let's put that to the full screen here for everybody to see.
So these are all Mike Zeck posters.
Oh, wow.
So this one down here, let's see if I can get that. So this is that first cover I was telling you about. Right. So Captain America 286. Now this is what you're seeing there are retailer promotions. So the smaller color one was like a flyer that the comic shops got to hand out. And then this larger black and white one was an actual poster. So the black and white poster is a little harder to find because there was not as many made. So I didn't even know these existed until this Facebook group. And so, I of course hunted it down and had to have it. And then same thing over here with this President Fires Cap poster. So that kicks off the John Walker story, and that's a retailer poster that I remember seeing as a kid, but totally forgot about it until I was in this group, and I was like, I gotta have it. And while we're over here, I might as well show you. So this is, as I said, a big Mike Zeck fan. There's I got a chance last year to have him sign and remark this, and they got graded. So you can see there's a sketch of Steve Rogers' face on the cover there that he did for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So this is my little Mike Zeck poster corner. And I'll show you more as we go on. But so the Facebook, like I said, really took off, and we have a lot of fun with it. Right now, we're closing on the end of Cap Madness, which is a bracket that I came up with. I've been wanting to do it for a while, but I waited until March as my excuse. So for in honor of the basketball tournament, March Madness, there's 32 teams battling each other out. Well, I did 32 Captain America artists over the course of 80 years, and the prerequisite was they had to have at least 6 pages interior, not covers, just interior. And that was it. I mean, that was the only prerequisite. And then I put them up there alphabetically because I wanted to be fair. I didn't want to, try to seed them in my personal opinion or anything. And so anyway, we started doing that, and every day, everybody, all the members have a chance. They have 24 hours to vote for. Here we are. It's Mike Zeck versus Chris Samney, and then the winner of that advances to the next round. And so right now we're in the Elite 8, and we're almost at the Final 4. So it's a lot of fun. It's just a lot of interactivity with
Jack,
the members. And
Jack
people,
is in there, right? Jack Kirby's in there. He's gonna. I mean, is
he's
he
great
winning
at,
this? It's like let's. Are we gonna? Is this a spoiler alert?
I know. He's the easy favorite.
It's
It's
so
a running
easy.
joke. Whoever goes up against him, sorry.
Sorry, I know.
Uh,
I mean,
but there's a lot that weren't so clear cut, and it was fun, because people were going on there and they're explaining why they think their members, their artists, and they would post original art pictures or covers or things like that and talk about personal experiences. And that's the other thing too. Like, I'm going to get back to the original reason I created this group, and that's to be an oasis away from everyday life, oasis from the stress, right? So we have strict kind of rules in that, like no contemporary politics, no bashing artists, or no mocking other fans because they like something that you don't. It's like no negativity. It's like, and for the most part, I gotta say, they're the best group ever. I mean, as far as the positivity and celebrating and just enjoying and having a good time.
yeah, and I'll tell you something. I discovered your group just because I was searching. I'll tell you why I joined it in just a second. I want to acknowledge a couple people. And Sean, we're gonna get to some questions for sure. CD, thank you so much for coming into the chat. Comic Book Fang, hey, how's it going, dude? Have US Agent getting? I know, yeah, he's great. Geek Studios, what's going on, man? Thanks for coming by. Sean, so Sean's my buddy on all these other streams, so our collections are pretty good, but you've got a killer. I like when there's like a focused person who's like, look, Captain America is the best, and I'm gonna get like the really good stuff. I'm too scatterbrained. I have like a little bit of everything. But
Thank you,
and
Sean.
we'll get yeah, and we're gonna and Sean, we're gonna get to the questions that you posted in a momentarily. So when I was going through I'm only on one Captain America Facebook group, and yours is the one. And the reason I chose it, and it's not just because it's comic book focus, but I was looking through some of the rules, and the way you explained, I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember exactly how you said it, but it's like, if you're going to say something negative, or if you don't like something, just scroll by the post, and you don't have to worry about it. Like, you don't have to like it or share it or comment on it. And the way I talk, and look, I've got my personal opinions on stuff, whether it comes to like an MCU, a DCEU, a Star Wars, a Doctor Who. Like I'm a nerd, so nerds are going to have their opinions, and we're going to fight it out, right?
Strong opinions, yeah.
Strong opinions. But the thing for me is that I don't like trying to put too much negativity when someone's very positive, because if someone says I love Captain America, and they say, I can't think of an example. If they say I love this thing, and I think, oh, that's so awful. But I don't want to discourage them from liking Captain America. I want them to be like, I like Captain America, and then they'll check out other stuff. So instead of saying a negative like, well, that was a stupid run, or this storyline sucked, I'll say, that was a cool storyline, but check, if you like that one, check this one out. This one's kind of a precursor or something like that.
Right.
As opposed to saying, oh, you're a dumbass for liking this character,
Right. Yeah, what's the point? What's the
point? Right?
Yeah.
And that's really the point, because it's like, how am I going to really convince this guy now that this sucks? And then what happens is that they get discouraged. They don't feel like posting.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was mentioned in one of your rules or guidelines, saying, yeah, it just discourages people from posting anything. Because you're really excited. You're like, oh, I just bought this. I just bought this. Got this on Shout Factory. I'm so excited. And they post it, and then it's like, oh yeah, well that TV show sucks. And you're like, oh, and then you're just like,
yeah.
What do I do?
Why? It makes them feel better. I don't know. But I have to say, vast majority of the group, appreciate that rule and respect it. And so, because, listen, I have a full-time job, I'm engaged. I have kids. I got a dog. I got a house. I mean, I got a lot going on outside of this. So, and I spend a lot of time on the group and the podcast. And so when I come on there, it's to get away from the stress. It's to get away from everything else. So, listen, if it's going to cause more stress, then it's find somewhere else.
Right. Okay. So let's talk about the podcast real quick, and then we'll address some of the questions that
Sure.
we're getting.
Yeah. So
Um, Go
the
for it.
podcast, yeah, we got to a point in early, maybe November. It was in November, and we were, I don't know, hit 2,000 members, and I was just thinking, I was like, how do I take this to the next level? What's the next thing we can do with this that would be fun? And so I didn't know anything about podcasts. I didn't know anything about platforms, microphones. So I did a lot of research. We have a couple of moderators on the Facebook group, and I asked one of the moderators, Bob Lucius. So shout out to Bob. He asked him if he was interested. He gave it some thought. He said, "Yeah, I think this would be fun," and it has been. We launched it the day after Christmas, I want to say, and we launched with two podcasts that day, and then like you said earlier, we're up to podcast episode 25, and we're doing we do one a week, but we've been doing two a week during the whole Falcon and Winter Soldier because we have a reaction show for that. But we're basically doing one a week because again, it takes a lot of time. There's a lot of research involved, the recording, the editing, the publishing, the promoting. But man, there's nothing more fun than doing this, right? Which we're doing right now, and just talking with someone about comics and about Captain America. So, half it seems like half the episodes are reviewing issues and stories and taking like actually reading them and going through them, and then having our conversation about them afterwards. And then we have a lot of guests that've been on the show, and so many of them were people that have been in our Facebook group of the professionals, right? So I mentioned the different artists and writers and things like that. So recently, the last interview we just put up was Mike Perkins, who was an artist for Captain America during the Ed Brubaker run and for Winter Soldier, and he was on it for 3 years. So he was a true delight to have on the show. Before that, we had the artist Georges Genti for the current U.S. Agent miniseries, which is John Walker. We've had J.M. DeMatteis, who is the writer that when you started collecting Captain America and I started collecting Captain America, he was the writer. And so, that was a huge thrill for me having him on. He wrote the series for 3 years.
He's awesome. And just a quick side note, the Vulture, I know this is Captain America, but the Spider-Man Vulture where Vulture has cancer, and everyone talks about Kraven's Last Hunt, but Vulture has cancer. That was great too. He's awesome. And he's a super cool guy. And I'm friends with him on Facebook. And like, I it's so great that we're living in this age where you're just chatting this guy up. How's it going, man? I'm like, yeah, I love your take on the Vulture. Oh, thanks, dude. And you're like, I'm like chatting like nothing's going. Like we'd have to stand in line for hours for that back in the day. Now it's just
exactly
Facebook them. Sorry, but I keep going.
No. That's 2 points I want to touch on. You brought up there as we have a lot of access and they could be super cool. Like Mike Perkins, who I mentioned, he's been having a lot of fun with the Cap Madness bracket and kind of doing a little plugging like vote for me kind of thing, and so he's been having a lot of fun. But the other side of this, and I mentioned this in my conversation with DeMatteis, the other side of it is sometimes you never want to meet your heroes because they're not who you think they are. So that's the downside too. But I told JM I was really glad to see how he turned out because I did my research on him beforehand, and we agree on a lot of things, and he's a big Beatles fan as I am, and things like that. So it's cool. And side note, and I mentioned this in the beginning of the episode with him. Do you remember back on Saturday Night Live when Chris Farley? He had the Chris Farley show, and he would sit there and he'd interview somebody. Well, this one time that Paul McCartney was the musical guest of Saturday Night Live, and he's my favorite. And he was on, and he's sitting there across from Paul McCartney, and Chris Farley, who's hilarious, he just sits there and he's like holding his notes, and he's like, "Do you remember? You remember when you were with the Beatles?" And Paul's like, "Yeah, that was great. You were
Yeah.
awesome." And I was worried I was going to have that moment with J.M. DeMatteis. I was worried I was going to be flustered when getting a chance to have a one-on-one conversation with the man who wrote the character that I fell in love with, and it inspired me. And it was his Steve Rogers. It was his Captain America that appealed to me and made me a fan of the character. So yeah, and so we joked about that, and I like to think I didn't make a fool of myself too much. But
that was a good one. That was a good podcast, that episode.
thank you.
Yeah, well, all the interviews have been awesome. Actually, I've really liked all the interviews, and it just like even just to learn about how things work. Like, like okay, this person does the inks, this person does the colors, and it's like, what does that mean? As a kid, and this is like this for film too, director, whatever. Like, you literally thought that if someone's the director, if someone's the artist, I literally thought they drew it, they inked it, they put the colors, they did the cover, they did everything, and they're like, here, they presented it, and then the guy wrote it, and then that's the end of it. And you're like, well, there's a whole team of people.
Right.
Who, it's like the director too of a movie. They think he literally shot every shot. Well, there's second unit, there's third unit.
Right.
So it's cool to even if you just want to learn about the people and like how it's like, look, I'm inking tons of pages, and I remember you asked, and I'm bad with names, so everyone knows this. They always forgive me. Yeah, where you're like, it's like, I just inked pages, like, I wasn't thinking too much about like, oh, is this a monumental issue that I'm,
right.
It's just like, I'm just going through it like it's a day job. You're just like, okay, next page, yeah, here you go, it's all good. All right, give me the next one. And I like that.
Yeah,
and
he was doing amazing stuff. I mean, on Captain America, he was inking John Byrne during that run, and then he was, he inked some Mike Zeck, inked some Paul Neary. So he'd certainly spent some quality time on the series. But yeah, he was inking the Wolverine miniseries with Frank Miller.
That's
Ron Lim on Infinity Gauntlet. He was on a lot of monumental stuff. So. And then you mentioned coloring, right? So we had Bob Sharon on.
Yep.
And so Bob Sharon, who's also and both these guys are members of the group. If you read a Marvel comic book in the 70s, 80s, or 90s, chances are he colored it.
Yeah.
I mean, and this process back then was really cool. So they would get, here's. Well, actually, here, I'll tell you this. So this is Captain America 276. I just bought this page last month. And pencils by Mike Zeck and inks by John Beatty, who's also a member of the group. And so this is just obviously in black and white, right? So what Bob Sharon would do, he got basically a black and white copy, like a photocopy, and then he would use watercolors and go and watercolor everything, and then they would write notes on what the codes were for the colors. And I'm oversimplifying it, all right? I'm sure there's some people out there probably could tell it better than me, but then it would go to the printer. So those, that's a completely different type of art collection out there. There's people out there that go and get those those color guides is
color
what they
guides.
call them.
I've got a Namor one, Avengers. Yeah.
Nice. But it was great talking with Bob because super nice guy, and we got to learn a lot about the coloring process. We just talked with this past week, and it'll be out for episode 30 we talked with a professor of philosophy, Mark D.
Oh.
White, and he's written many books, but one of them is the the Virtues of Captain America.
Mm.
And so it's a book about Captain America, comic books, and the philosophy behind it, and asks really cool questions. Like what would Cap do, and
Right.
can a fictional character be a role model? And so hey, we had him on the show, and Bob and I talked with him. So that'll be out in May, episode 30. So yeah,
That
it's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. That actually is really awesome. And I bought I actually bought a philosophy book about the characters in Watchmen and what each character's philosophy is in life and all that. But yeah, can a fictional character be someone to look up to? And I don't know. I think of Superman and Captain America. Those are my go-to two people when I'm thinking like, what would Cap do, right?
Mhm.
What would Superman do in this kind of situation? They're the two heroes of my childhood who I think are the ones that you kind of look up to, right? I don't really look up to like, Batman or whatever. I love Batman, please. Everyone in my chat is like a super Batman lover. But yeah, so that I'm really looking forward to that. That sounds really cool. I want to take a look at some of the. We have a few questions here going. Sean, mainstream popularity of Cap by the MCU movies is a good or bad thing? Well, I think it's good because it's bringing awareness to Captain America in a way that's positive. I think. What are your thoughts on that?
Great question, Sean. I will tell you, I am so grateful for the MCU version of Captain America and Chris Evans because it totally has brought an awareness to the character and a popularity to the character that we've never seen before. So, for all the comic book fans that are, watching this right now, just like anything, there's a hierarchy in comic geekdom, right? And so while back in the 80s when I was in high school, you know, you would get made fun of if you read comics, right? Right. So,
For sure.
but then it was worse because as a Captain America fan, you got made fun of by the other, Batman fans, Wolverine fans, right? Oh,
Right. Like,
Daredevil. We
you
could
got to
talk
be
about him too. He's
right.
my
It's like,
second
oh, it's got to
favorite.
be gritty and hardcore. Captain America, Superman, they're losers. They're Boy
Yeah, goody
Scouts
two
and all that.
shoes, yeah, and
Goody
all
two
that.
shoes. Yeah.
So it does my heart good to see little kids, teenagers, adults walking around with Captain America shirts. Now, most of them have shields, right? Because whatever. I
Yeah.
actually had this made because it has the logo I love. But
Yeah.
seeing them, embrace the character. Hey, the bandwagon's big enough. Come on board. Get on the bus. I mean, that's and I do get a lot of people come to the Facebook group that I know are from the MCU. And
Right.
so, but hey, you're welcome. Now, sorry, we're not going to let you post about the MCU in our group. It is focused on the comic books, but hopefully you're there and you're going to learn a lot and you're going to appreciate a lot and you're going to see something maybe that interests you. And so, it's I'm all for it.
I'll tell you a feel good thing about Captain America in a second for me. Rick's love of all things Zach probably raffles my love of songs. Yeah. Appreciate Rick's devotion. Keep the Facebook page. Yeah, Cap would want it that way for sure.
No,
Bell Reeve, how's it
100%.
going? I saw you got my link. So yeah, that's good. If you have any questions about that, let me know. Andrew, what's going on, brother? Rick, thoughts on Evans? Oh, like look, we like Chris. Okay, Chris Evans, Captain America. Chris Evans is the best character in the MCU. Is that like a
Yeah.
no brainer, or that's a no
Oh,
brainer, right?
100%. Now,
100.
look, I got to give Robert Downey Jr. huge props.
Yeah.
Okay. The MCU wouldn't be the MCU if Robert Downey Jr. didn't nail that role with the first
Right.
Iron Man movie. We
Yeah.
wouldn't be talking here today. So,
Yeah.
all props to Robert Downey Jr. But Chris Evans, I'd say, is right up there.
Oh, dude, like, look, Civil War. There was no Civil War. Like, it's like I'm on Team Cap. Like, are you crazy? I'm not going to side with Iron. I wanted Captain America to beat the crap out of.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was so with Captain America in that movie. I was getting agitated. I watched it again the other night, and I'm like, I'm getting agitated again. I'm like, no, stop it. Captain America is right. Like, stop it.
And
He's
how
the
about
best.
with and we're not going to spoil hopefully anything about the way Falcon and Winter Soldier #4 ended.
Right. Well, I've already spoiled it on my channel, but yeah, we don't have to. But yeah,
Okay,
go ahead.
okay, but there's a scene at
Mm-hmm.
the end of 4 where John Walker has his shield up and he comes down, right?
Yeah.
And then I've seen somebody on social media take that scene and put it next to Steve Rogers going up and doing that and coming down on Tony Stark, but he hit him in the chest. And he
Oh,
and
interesting.
he
Yes.
remember in Civil War, he
Yep.
comes down and he hits him right there in the center and he depowers him.
Yeah.
And that is the
Yeah, that's
difference
the
between
difference. Yeah.
Steve Rogers and John Walker. Both
Yeah.
were in the middle of battle. Both were in the middle of rage. Both had the opportunity to do something, and one took the "I'm going to disarm you," and the other one did not.
Yeah. And the thing is that like John Walker, I mean, there could be an entire podcast or an entire episode on John Walker. And I think he's a very fascinating character.
Absolutely.
In the comics. I think he's great. I think Wyatt Russell is like killing it. No pun intended, killing it. In in this, and he's very complex. And it's like he just watched his friend die, and he's just in this rage. I couldn't believe Battlestar died. I was like, no, because I like Battle. I got the first appearance of Battlestar. I was like, I
Yeah.
don't know if he's really dead or not. Whatever.
Who knows?
We've talked
You
this to
think he
death
is?
on my
Yeah.
channel. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it's like I don't know. He's a complex character, and I kind of like that. But I also want Captain America to remain like true. So, and I'm talking about Steve Rogers. Like Captain
Mhm.
America is Steve Rogers to me. I know that Falcon, like Sam Wilson had the shield and John Walker and whatever, but like Steve Rogers is the character that I'm interested in when I talk about it. And I like that he's like, look, I'm going to do the right thing, and that's where you talk about the philosophy of does a character can you look up to a character that's a fictional character? Because well, if he's doing the right thing, it's all in the hands of the writer too. What does the writer think is the right
Sure.
thing to do? I guess in that situation. So there's always that to play. But that's why
Mhm.
sometimes I think writers feel that like the Supermans, the Captain Americas, they feel like it's tough to write these characters. But I don't think so. I think you need to just have a little bit extra talent. That's why when you get a really good Captain America story, it's really good. Like
Yeah.
a really good. I love Daredevil, right? I've got a good
He's my number
Daredevil
2,
story.
by the way.
He's number 2. Oh, awesome, yeah. And a
Yeah.
really good Daredevil story is really killer, but a really good Captain America story like just gets you. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
that's kind of same with Superman for me. Like a good Superman story that gets to me in my heart. And, I like Superman and Batman, I like Cap and Daredevil. So it's like the two. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? It's like the darker version of the other guy. Yeah, so I don't know, and I think that's the cool thing about Captain America, and I think I'm glad that people are into him, and he's a Boy Scout, yeah, but I mean, he's good, he's a good person, and he's going to do the right thing. That's the point.
So here's the thing about being a Boy Scout. I say that to anybody, and we'll get to some of these
We'll,
other
we'll,
questions
we'll
here
get we'll
too.
get to that in a second. Yeah,
But when people say he's a Boy Scout, I have to say I don't think you've read enough of him, right?
right.
I think you have a very high level you know, super. I don't think you've really delved deep into some of the stories. I mean, he's a complex character. There's been many times where Steve has given up the uniform, given up the shield, because he didn't agree with what was going on with the government.
Yep.
And so, in that poster, right, where you see the uniform, the shield
Yeah.
there, Mark Grunwald is the writer and did an
So
amazing
good.
job.
So good.
And one of the things that he says in there is, you want me, I don't represent the American government. I represent the American dream.
Yes.
And so that has happened several times throughout the 80-year history. I mean, he became nomad for a while. There was a couple of other occasions as well. And so I don't, he's a complicated character. I don't think, as far as what, if you just read Civil War, read that and then read the Civil War issues that are in Cap's series,
Right.
and you could see how much he struggled with this. It wasn't, everything's not necessarily black and white. The world's become too gray. But in this, we get into this philosophical conversation with Dr. White. You know, is when do you still have to have your moral center. You still have to have that North Star, and that's what I think makes him so appealing to me, is that you know, he comes back to that no matter what he struggles with.
Yeah, and I'm reading those issues right now where he's given up the shield, and that's sort of in just because Falcon and Winter Soldier is on right now, and that's sort of what they're doing. Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Sean said this in one of my streams before, where this is almost like a Captain America show without Captain America actually, like, or without Steve Rogers being in it, because it's sort of taking that idea that he gave up because he didn't want to follow what the government wanted him to do, and he just gives it up. And they say, well, it's our costume, it's our name, it's our shield. And he's like, all right, fine. And then Tony later makes him a shield, and then that's a whole, even in that section where Tony made him a shield, I don't know what number that was, but like,
Right.
he makes him the shield, and Tony Stark goes to destroy the guardsman armor.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then Cap comes there and he's like, oh dude, and just in that issue alone, and this is way before Civil War, they're kind of like, oh, you know, Cap's like conflicted. It's like, dude, like, you know, like, I got to stop my buddy. And Iron Man feels bad too. So there's a lot of depth to all these characters too. To simplify any character and say this is what it is, it's like, look, Captain America's been around since 1940 something. 41.
This is 80 year anniversary. Yeah.
So 80 years. Oh, he's just this. It's like, it's just the perception of what's out there. But at least people are coming to comics. My one story that I really enjoy telling people is there's a guy, I'm not going to name him because I don't know if he wants to be named. He was an MCU fan only, didn't read shit, right? So he's talking to me and I said, well, who do you like? He's like, you know, I like Cap, I like Thor, you know. I'm like, okay. I said, why don't you go and grab some Captain America comics? I was like, and we'll just grab some random ones, you know, like, let's just go. So I brought him, and Sean knows who I'm talking about. We went to a comic show. This is obviously before you know, pandemic. And we were just like, you know, grab a few of these, grab a few of those. And he started reading. And now he's like, it's been like, what, 2 years now. And he's like really into the comics.
That's great.
And that, it makes me feel so good because it's like, you know, I like, you know, MCU fans are, you know, that's great. You love the MCU and you like a good entertaining movie. But if you can go back and we can grab some of these people and bring them into going to the comic shops, that's a win.
By the way, I don't know if you knew this, but I used to own a comic book store. So
you may have mentioned that in one of the I mean, that's like a dream job, man. I mean,
it was absolutely. I had it. I started off in college putting on conventions and setting up shows. Then I started promoting the shows. Then in Atlanta, I end up. Was it Atlanta? Yeah, I put on a big 2-day show, 10,000 square feet.
Wow!
And then I opened up an online comic book store, basically,
right.
Sort of an e-store. And this was just when eBay was starting. So you know, and my URL was comicbooksetc.com. So the name of my business was comicbooksetc.com.
Right.
And that took off. So I ended up opening up a retail location, and that took off. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I had to sell both of those and to relocate for family purposes. But yeah, for a time being, it was a lot of fun having a store and talking comics and all that.
There's a cool show that Sean and I go to. I'm in Toronto, Canada, Ontario. And there's a show by us. It's like a cheapy show. It's like $7 to get in or something. And it's only comic books, period. Nothing else, just comic books.
Nice.
And it's my favorite show to go to because I love toys, right? Obviously you can see I've got tons of toys, but I like going to a toy show that's for toys. I like going to a comic book show that's for comic books. I don't need to go to a show that's mixture of the two, because if I'm looking for comics, I've got my list and I just want a backpack and I come out with a bunch of books. I'm not going to go and buy Funko Pops and statues and all this other bullshit. It's like I can get that anytime I want. It's like I want comics, and that's the show that I try to get people to go to. And they've got great deals. And I was a vendor there, and Sean was a vendor with me. So I know the guy. So I'll go over and be like, so when I was getting that guy into comics, I was like, guys, listen, don't give me some crap. I want some good deals on these books. I'm trying to get this guy in, you know. And I was like, look, I sold you the Peter David Aquaman run for $35. You can help me out on this Cap run, right? You know what I mean? So it's like we all know each other, so we can kind of like get some good deals. But it's great getting into comics. All right, so let's take a look at.
Who asked it? Who said about Sal Buscema? Who was that?
Oh, that's like way up there. I think I've lost that. That was CD Freester. Do you know who CD Freester is? Is he on
No,
Facebook?
I appreciate Sal Buscema. There's
Yes, there you go. I found it.
yeah, no, he's a great Cap artist. And he's there's actually probably I know of a Facebook group out there that's devoted to his art as well.
Awesome.
But just to talk about Zek, I'm going to show off a little bit here because
Yeah.
you know, why not? So yeah, now I showed you my Zek posters. So now I'm going to show you my Zek original art.
Oh, awesome.
So this, I already showed you this one. This one here was the first page I ever bought, and this was Captain America 287. And I bought this from a dealer in Europe a few years ago. And I got to tell you, I mean, this is a beautiful thing, right? Mike Zeck, John Beatty on display here. And it's great because it's a page to one of the very first Captain America comic books I ever owned. So it has a kind of special place in my heart.
That's awesome.
Then this one here is Cap 259. Again, Mike Zeck on pencils, and a nice battle scene with Doc Ock. So I was thrilled to get that. And then I was able to get this last week from this was, and Mike, when I reached out to him, he confirmed that this is probably around the time that he was doing Captain America, which had Nick Fury in it.
Cool.
And then this is a pencils only Zek sketch from probably early 80s.
That's
and
awesome.
Then this one I got last year. This is a very sinister looking Red Skull that was a commission that
that's killer.
Zek made for me. Yeah.
That is killer.
Killer, no pun intended, huh?
Yes, yeah.
And then I want to show you one other commission, and I got this 2 years ago. And this, so when I was talking about Bob Sharon, right?
Mhm.
So this here, challenging here.
Cool.
So this is the pencils that Mike drew for me, but it's a copy. The original pencils, John Beatty inked, and then Bob Sharon hand colored a copy of that.
Oh, that is such a great idea.
And I just thought, vertically, it really looks good, and it just shows, the three masters together at once.
That is such a wicked idea to do that, though.
Yeah.
So technically, the middle one is the original. The other two are copies.
Yeah. So this is the original pencils and inks.
Ink, right? And then you did
a
copy.
This is a copy, but it is hand colored by Bob Sharon.
Right. I got you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's awesome.
This is just a copy, so we could see what it looked like.
So you see what it looked like. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great. I might have to steal that idea from you and do something. Get somebody to do something like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, and if you come to our group, the Facebook group, you can reach out to Bob there, and he takes commissions. Did you want to see a few things while I'm up?
Yeah, why not? If you're up, let's do a quick tour. Right. Yeah.
So Ron Garney I'm a big fan of Ron Garney. This is not the original cover. I had him recreate it last year for me. So love that cover. It's Cap 450.
That's awesome.
And then also down here, so Captain America Marvel Knights, that's what I was telling you about, Volume 4. It's number 27. Dave Johnson did a recreation of his cover for me last year. Then we have Ron Lim. Ron Lim had a nice long run on Cap. So last year I got pencils commissioned from him that I had framed.
That's awesome. I see some issues there. I've got a couple of those finally. Yay.
Um, and then down here, some more. I got Scott Collins did a really cool, like, I love the Kirby crackle on this Red Skull. Got a George Perez.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yep.
Oh, that's great.
And Jeff Johnson.
Oh, cool.
If you ever remember him, he was on like a huge Wonder Man run. He did
I
this
love
cap
Wonder
for me.
Man.
Yeah. And one other that I really love, and I have this like here. This is Kieran Dwyer, who was on that, the run you're reading right now with Mark Gruenwald. Kieran Dwyer was the co-creator of Crossbones. So I had him do an homage to Captain America 350,
Right.
which has got the Captain versus John Walker.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so this is Steve as Captain America versus Crossbones.
Oh, that's cool.
So that was really cool. And then I've got, as far as a few other commissions, I went crazy during the pandemic, and because you can't go to the shows. I wanted to support the artists because I know they were kind of going through a tough time right now as well. And so this one, Phil Noto. Now he's not a Captain America artist, but I love Phil Noto's work, and so
that's really pretty.
Steve with Sharon in a tender moment.
That's cool.
I really love that. Mike Perkins, who I mentioned a couple of times, he worked on Ed Brubaker's series, and which was the introduction of Winter Soldier. He did this really
that's
cool
sick.
Winter Soldier. Yeah,
that's sick.
And then this one, now I'm a huge Kevin Maguire fan, and he was from Justice League. He's probably his most famous. Those covers where all the characters are looking up, kind of like at a selfie. Yeah. All those Justice League covers. Yeah, he did those. He actually was the artist on a miniseries called The Adventures of Captain America, which was like a period piece when he was just becoming Captain America, and it was written by Fabian Nicieza. I'm saying that right.
I cannot pronounce his name at all. Nicieza?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So Kevin, who's one of my all-time favorite artists, because he's a master at facial expressions, and so I had him do that Justice League cover, where all the, but instead I had it be Captain America and his friends.
Oh, cool.
So,
oh my God, that's awesome.
So that's
D-Man, yes.
So this is from most, except for Winter Soldier. This is all from the Mark Gruenwald era, right? Yep. So we have Sam and Bucky there. Then we have Sharon, U.S. Agent, D-Man, Nomad, and Diamondback.
Yeah.
And one other thing I thought was really cool I got this past year. And again, this is all about nostalgia, right? It's all, what can we do to just, put us in a simpler time. Yeah. So I finally got a spinner rack.
Oh, cool.
And so what I do here is I have these. Remember I told you about all the covers for April?
Okay, yeah.
These are all the covers for April.
Oh, cool.
So this is, 1969.
Right.
70, 71, and so on. So then we have, the 70s go into the 80s.
Right.
It goes into the 90s. We have the 2000s. And then, stuff leading up all the way to recent.
Wow, that's genius. That's great.
So I switch this out on a monthly basis because, like I want to see them. Right now they're all in boxes. But every month, I put them on the spinner rack, and that way I can look at them and I can actually appreciate them.
That's a really cool idea.
And if you're wondering why there's a space here, it's because that's 100, and 100 is here.
Oh, I
So
see. Yeah.
yeah,
These
so
are all the big issues.
yeah, right. So I've got
Yeah,
the 100.
Avengers. Yeah,
This was my grail a few years ago. I always wanted this, and I was able to finally get it a few years ago.
I mean
Um,
that's yeah.
this is Strange Tales is the first appearance of Cap in the Silver Age, but it's not
In the,
Steve Rogers. It's someone impersonating him. There's the Tales of Suspense 58 that I mentioned. You know, the first
yeah,
time Cap's in that. The Sergeant Fury 13 is the first time Cap met Nick Fury in World War II. So it was kind of a a retcon.
yeah.
Yep. These were my first two issues right here, and
Oh,
I got
yeah.
a chance to Zach to sign them. And then there's the 300
Yeah,
you talked
I've
about.
got that. Yeah.
Starenko signed this for me last year.
Oh, that's sick.
Um,
Oh, that's the Captain America I was talking about. That one in the middle there.
yeah,
I
yeah.
got the
Heroes.
first 30 or 40 issues of that one.
Yeah, it's volume 3. So Mark Waid signed this for me.
Oh, I liked this series a lot.
Me too. And
Yeah.
I'm a huge Rod Garney fan. Really, really like him. And a few other signed books.
Invaders, that's cool. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my god! All right, so wow, that was awesome. It's like going through it's like going through everything. I like where it's like you have like the spinner rack idea is a sick idea. Having all the books by the month, that's really neat. I don't have a spinner rack here. Yeah, my comics are literally except for a few like I got the first like Polaris, the first Emma Frost, first Hawkeye. Some of those I have like in the back here. I've got Namor or Submariner #1. Obviously not Golden Age, but like the premiere issue. So I've got like some comics on display. Most of them are in boxes, and these Captain Americas I've got like about like let's say that much.
Mm-hmm.
And those I didn't even realize I had all of these first appearances. When I was watching Winter Soldier, I was thinking like yeah, I remember reading these as a kid. And I thought, let me go and I literally went to the storage, my storage locker, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've got all I didn't even know, when you're young reading these, like you're not even thinking about it like at all. Like I was ripping the covers off. I had the first appearance of Punisher. I had the first appearance of Punisher. I ripped it off and put it and stuck it with a piece of tape on my wall. I know that's brutal.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're not thinking about this stuff. You're just like,
no, I used
reading
to cut pictures out and made a poster board of like, all my favorite characters from.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So let's take a look at some of the stuff here that feedback. Have you had any feedback from Red Brown? He's a member of the group, isn't he?
Yeah. So he's, he joined the group. Oh gosh, I don't know, 6-7 months ago, I guess. And, so we're comic focused, so we very rarely do anything outside of comic. But the exception would be anything that's Red Brown related. We will post because we do have
this one.
Yes, that's Matt Salinger, right? Yeah, but Reb's a real gentleman, real nice guy, and he occasionally goes in there, makes some comments, and likes some things.
And he's cool. I've seen him in interviews and stuff. He's pretty good. Any of the animated things stand out for you for Cap? Oh, we're gonna talk about this, Sean. Okay, real quick. Anything animated? I'm trying to think.
I mean, I'm bad with the names on the animation shows, but I don't know if it was like 10 years ago. There were some really good Avengers cartoons.
Yes,
and I loved that version of Cap in those Avengers cartoons. I wish I could tell you the name. I really don't remember.
I think I have some of them that were released and some of them weren't. Sean is a cartoon guy. Sean, we're gonna discuss this because I want to know about. I super want to know Rick's opinion on this. Price Freedom Hines willing to pay. Okay, Raven the comics when he started thought Robert Jr. was wasting his talent. Oh yeah. Meta joke. Okay. Josh, what's going on, dude? Colin, do you know who Colin is? Nope. All right.
Hi, Colin.
Okay, our collection's good. Okay.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that Red Skull is one of my favorites.
The Red Skull
it doesn't get any more sinister than Mike Zeck. He's a master. Love it.
All right. Okay. Sean and I, we this is our nerd debates when we're talking just me and him on the phone. Once and for all. Okay. Does the super soldier serum make Cap in the comics superhuman or merely the most fit and athletic human? And this is the thing. Okay, let me give it just real quick. My impression early on was that when you get the serum, you become the best that a human could possibly ever be, which is to say, let's say Steve was here and now he's here.
Mhm.
Let's say Arnold Schwarzenegger took the serum. He would only go to here, right? He wouldn't be stronger
Mhm.
because it just makes you the best at any human. So Schwarzenegger may have started here. Let's say Steve starts here and goes to here. Schwarzenegger is obviously better, than Steve was when he's regular human, and then he'd go up, but you can't get past that. But then somewhere along the line, it seems like he's a little stronger than he really should be, even at a peak human.
Right.
I don't, you know what I mean? Like, so what are your thoughts on that? This is a great nerd debate because Sean and I
Uh,
always fight on this one.
all right. So I know in the comics it's depicted as peak human, condition, right? In that speed, durability, agility, strength, peak human condition. Well, what does that mean, right? I mean,
Right.
where's the scale on that? Who we saying is the peak, and what does that max out at? We don't really know. Um, so there's that factor, and then you know there. So let's just talk about the serum, okay? Right? Because depending on the origin that you read, there's serum, there's Vita rays,
Right.
right? There's these and was the serum injected? Was it a serum that he took via
Right.
a vial? Um, so I think was it John Byrne and Roger Stern back in 1980, maybe it was 81, um, did I think it was issue 255, and it was their last issue that they did. And they basically took all the different versions that have come before, all the different origins, because some had him drinking it, some had an injection, some had Vita rays, and basically said it was all of that. And then there was the conversation of, well, the Cap from the 50s and the Bucky from the 50s, they retconned this story and they said this is a different character because they didn't have Vita rays. The serum drove him crazy. So there's a lot of variations of what the serum can do, and with or without Vita rays and so on. I, I would say have fun with the debate. I don't think there's a
Yeah,
right or
there's
wrong answer. I think you can talk about this all day long and just have fun with it.
and we do talk about this all day long, and then you start getting into, well, what if someone who is already stronger got it? Would he then be even stronger? And it starts getting out of hand, which I love. I love when it gets like completely out of hand, and then people are like, no, that like an issue whatever. Captain America picked up a car and threw it, and it's like, and then someone's like, yeah, but that was because of this. I love that kind of stuff. It's great.
Mhm.
There was a Cap animated pilot. Oh, really? Oh my God,
I,
Sean,
s- I
we're checking.
saw. I think I've heard mention of this, and I see maybe I'm confusing it, but I'm pretty sure I saw a couple of stills of that, and the art looked kind of cool. Yeah, and I think there was a little bit of you know people trying to get together, going, how can we get this made?
Huh.
Years later.
What about that? There's that Marvel, that really old. Was it called Marvel Hour or something? And they did Namor, and they did Hulk, ever loving Hulk, Hulk,
Mm,
Hulk. Remember that? There's Captain America. That was basically like the comics, sort of like a motion comic almost, like what
yeah,
you would call today, sort of like a motion comic. But those were neat. Like I remember watching the Namor ones. You're like, this is like pretty much the comic. Like it's pretty
yeah.
much,
Now you're talking about the ones in the early '70s, right?
yeah. It's got to be. It's like the Spider-Man 67 cartoon. I don't remember the
Okay,
year. But it was either, I think it was before that or around that,
okay.
or maybe around that time. Um, because Spider-Man always looked cool, but these other ones always looked more like motion comics to me. But they're very hard to find. I think the UK had them all released, but there's different rights. So Canada didn't. We didn't get them. I don't know if you guys. You're in the States, right? Yeah. I don't know if you. I don't think
Yeah.
you guys got them either. But I'd like to check those out. Silver Age was very athletic. Yeah, he's peak human. He can run. And he's just faster, and he can he's stronger. I did read some of the I guess the comic was called Sam Wilson Captain America, I believe.
Yep.
Was that the I only read I want now this is when I'm starting to get, I hate to say this word, but I have to say it, digital. This is where I was getting the digital stuff because let's face the facts. I'm not going to go I was sort of at this time where I'm not just going to buy everything.
Sure.
I want to, it's very easy for me to hit, a dollar, press a button, and I can read it. And I read, I don't know how many, I read the first few of that series, and I thought it was okay. It is what it is. I mean, it's not Steve Rogers, but did you like Sam Wilson? I mean, I like Sam Wilson, so I don't know.
Right.
Like, did you like him as Captain America?
Yeah, I did. I mean, Nick Spencer was writing that, and great question and timely, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would say regarding Sam Wilson, it was a natural progression for him to do it. Steve Rogers was aged at this point, right? So he had lost the serum. He became aged. He could no longer be Captain America, so he just became Commander Rogers. Gave the shield to Sam, and Sam took it and became the new Captain America while Steve was out. And then even when Steve got back, Sam was still Cap for a while. We had a couple caps, which was fine. I think it was a natural progression of the story. I didn't have a problem with that. I know there were a lot of people who did have a problem with that, and so there was like a thing trending on social media, hashtag not my Cap.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I have a theory, with this current Falcon and Winter Soldier series, is a little bit based on that, and meaning the reaction to that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Meaning, like, they couldn't go from the old Steve Rogers saying, "Sam, here's the shield" at the end of Endgame, and pick up from there, because they knew, based on what happened with the comics, there would be an outrage. Yeah. And so my theory was, okay, they're going to eventually have Sam as Captain America, and my guess is going to be, the end of this series.
Yeah, next week.
But they had to bring in a guy that resembled Steve Rogers as the new Captain America, make us not like him, tell Sam's story, because quite frankly, he didn't have a lot of screen time during, the movies.
No,
they didn't develop his character, just like, Bucky, right? They didn't get a chance. So, but this series is really getting a chance to develop Sam and Bucky's character, especially Sam in my mind. Yep. And so by the end of this, those people that were more likely to go, not my Cap, are now going to be like, yeah, Sam deserves it. And I think this series was a way to tell that story. And I don't have a problem with it.
I don't. Well, actually, I mean, I can say in pretty confident that is the reason for this, to make him Captain America, because you can't sell the Winter Soldier as the new Captain America. The guy's too tainted, right? Like, he's killed a bunch of people. Like, unfortunately, that's what it is. And being a comic book nerd, at the end of Endgame, I knew 1,000%, 100% that he's going to give it to Sam, because that happened in the comics. Now, when that happened in the comics, people have to understand that comics are monthly, like, publications that have been going on for 80 years for Captain America, 80 years for Superman and Batman. And I've got, I'll pull this out. You remember this? Superman?
Oh God, yeah.
Right. And the thing is like, yeah, but Superman has had 2 books, both action and self-titled, and in some cases there's 4 or 5 a month where Superman's in this, and you can't always tell the same story of Superman fighting an alien or Lex Luthor. So they're going to switch it around. And they wanted to do something with Captain America to say, okay, let's say the serum wears off, he becomes old. Who does he give it to? And Falcon was not a new character that just came out of nowhere where you said hashtag not my Cap. It's like he's been around forever too. So I didn't really mind it. And Steve Rogers is coming back. Like this isn't the first comic book you ever read, right? Like it's like Superman's dead, and then I remember like everyone's like getting the patches and like and it's like, look, he's coming back. Like,
yeah. Now you bring up a great point. I mean, there are lots of versions of the stories in all the years that look. Some, like I said before, some are great, some are and so okay, let's talk about. All right, so Captain America becomes Cap Wolf, okay, in the Mark Gruenwald era, and love it or hate it, it was kind of like, okay, I could deal with it because we all know Steve's coming back, right? Then you have Cap becomes he gets killed in the Brubaker series in issue 25 of volume 5, and okay, I could deal with this, he'll be back, Cap becomes old, okay, I could deal with this, he'll be back. Now when they did Hydra Cap, and for a story where Nick Spencer did, where the Cosmic Cube recreated the history of Steve Rogers so that he has been a Hydra agent all along, I could deal with it. Because Steve will be back.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, like, I don't understand the uproar over all these different things, because we all know at the end of the day, Steve will be back. And so I could put up with it, knowing that, okay, it's temporary, it's an interesting take, it's something different. It's man, God love Ed Brubaker, because you said before about how having someone mentioned that watching Falcon and Winter Soldier is like watching a Captain America without Captain America. Well, from issue 26 on, for a couple of years, the Ed Brubaker series kept going without Captain America, without Steve Rogers. They had Bucky as Cap, Falcon had a big role, Black Widow had a big role, Shield had a big role, Sharon Carter. That's fantastic storytelling if you could keep Captain America fans interested when Captain America is not in it. And so I don't get too upset when these big changes come in, because ultimately we all know it's going to come back.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think this is a great point to end off on, is collect the comics. If you're a comic book guy, there's going to be changes. You're buying a Captain America book once a month minimum. There's going to be changes here and there. The Cap and love will always come back at some point. They just need to tell some stories to get new readers on, or to generate some buzz. It is what it is. It's a business too, so you got to shake things up. And really, you don't want to read the same thing over and over again for months and months and months. You'd get bored, right? And it's great to change it up like that. So, all right, Caleb, thanks for joining in the chat. What's going on? All right, so Rick, I'm going to let you end off, and the links for all of your Facebook group and also the podcast, that's going to be in the description. I threw the link up in chat as well. If anyone just happens to be scrolling through the chat, they'll see that as well. I'm going to let you have the final word before I put you in backstage. All right, so let me get you to the forefront, and you can say your last your final thoughts.
Well, I appreciate you having me on the show. This has been a lot of fun. I always have a lot of fun talking to Cap, or as I like to say on the podcast, rapping Cap. So if you, hopefully you learned a little bit of something, hopefully you grew a little bit of more appreciation for the character. And if you want to learn a little bit more, have some fun, join the Facebook group. The name of the podcast is also Captain America Comic Book Fans, so you can always go on there, any of your podcast providers, and we'd be happy to have you on there as well. So thanks so much for having me on. This has been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Rick. Anytime you want to come on, literally, you just message me and you're on. And we do Falcon, and we're doing Falcon and Winter Soldier talk this Sunday. So if you want to come on as well, you just come on in, and I open that up to the guests too. You can come on and share your thoughts as well. I'm definitely gonna listen to your podcast when you post it on your thoughts on Falcon. I've got a lot to unpack. This is gosh, lots to talk about this Sunday. All right,
Yeah.
thanks, Rick, for stopping by. I'm gonna put you backstage for just a minute. All right,
All right.
cool, thanks. All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode for Amazing Fans. If you want to be part of this show, you do not have to have, a podcast or anything like that. Rick just happens to, be a little bit more outgoing with his love of Captain America. But this is open to all fans. Anybody who's a fan of any superhero or comic character or movie character, whatever, you guys can come on, message me, let me know what character you like, and we'll set up something. So you can find me on Twitter at Lifetime Nerd. You can message me in any of my videos. I'm going to be back tomorrow. Sorry, not tomorrow. I'm going to be back Sunday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be talking Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Lots to talk about. Talking about Invincible. We're going to talk about Suicide Squad and Zack Snyder and whatever else anybody wants to talk about. Godzilla versus Kong. I love it all. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much for coming, and thanks once again to Rick for coming on. And guys, please check out his Facebook group. It's sick. The podcast is killer too. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. All right, until next time.